What's up, guys? This is Shock. With me on the line here is MK Tom Brady, and we're going to go over some stuff from our past and basically MK
Go over the ground
history.
rules so the chat knows that we're going to be saying the word Chicago because
Yes.
they're going to say, "Who are you talking about?" Just,
Okay.
just,
So
just because they're going to start saying it.
for sure. Okay. So yeah, this is I haven't really been following anything that's been going on recently, but I'm aware from talking to the parties involved personally, and I'm also friends with both of them. Basically, some accusations have been, we'll say, labeled on MK Tom Brady, and he just wants to go over some stuff that I would know about. I will confirm, what I know, where I know it, and the individual will be referring to just as Chicago. That's it.
Yeah, I mean,
As best
he
we
was
can.
trying to
As
be
best we can.
respectful.
Yeah, as best
Yeah,
we
he
can.
did say,
Yeah.
"Hey, just mention me as Chicago. Don't mention my name."
But
So
this is
that's what we're
but
going
this
to do.
is not about Chicago. It is about Bill's origin history in the scene where he came from.
Yep.
I mean, maybe a half hour we're gonna try to do, but it's not gonna
Yep,
be
we're going to wrap it up. Yep.
nothing
All
crazy.
right. So,
I know you
yep,
guys have been listening to some multi-hour
yep,
marathon streams. So
yep.
just in the chat, if anyone can say, if you guys can hear us both clearly, and we'll get started. There's
Yep,
plenty of
and we'll
you in
wrap it
there.
up
Thank
quick.
you.
Yep.
Yeah, thank
This
you for
is
the raid.
real. It's real easy to put a bow on.
Okay. All right. Everybody says we're
Okay.
good.
Perfect.
Okay, so first things first, like I'm not a good interviewer. I'm usually the one being interviewed, but I'm just going to ask some basic questions
Okay.
just to get started because the main gist of this is that MK Tom Brady was an unknown quantity before he reached any fame with Deadly Alliance, and this was 23 years
This
ago.
is the point of contention.
Okay. So I just want
Yep.
to go over it because I only know from what I've been told by others, and this was a big problem years ago because I was brand new to the scene back then. Mind you, it was, early 20s, just getting into tournaments.
We're looking at
Um,
2000, 2001, so it's a long
2001.
time
So I
ago.
was 20 when I first came in. And that's really, I can't really remember if there was too much jaw jacking and controversy going on in between, but it's only a year. There's only a year's time, and I met Bill in 2001. So by the time Injustice,
Mhm.
not Injustice. Oh my God, Deadly Alliance came out was 2002.
2002. Yeah,
So
late 2002.
yep, that was yeah. So just real quick to
About two
start,
years almost before Deadly Alliance we met.
yeah. So when when you started going to tournaments, how old were you? What you would
15 in
okay.
general. It was, back in the arcade era, it was, it was all mall tournaments. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't, there were no tournaments like today. So
It was
people got
loosely
known.
put together groups of people who it was all word of mouth.
Yeah, it was all word of
Yeah.
mouth. So what happened is the people got known, they were known by region, and each region would have their players that they would talk about.
Mm,
And it was almost like wrestling in the territories back in the day, right? People didn't know
sure.
who Jerry the King Lawler was, but if you went to Memphis, you know who Jerry the King Lawler was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, or if you went to Watts territory or Vern Gagne up in Minnesota, we never bonded over wrestling. Shock. I was a big wrestling guy
I
too.
know it's
You
just
know,
never really been a we've never really
yeah,
had
but
time to go over that. Whenever we see
yeah,
each
but
other, we're both mobbed. I mean, it's just
yeah,
we
it's true. It's true.
it's tough.
Um, so it was a lot like that, where based on what territory you went to, that's who. There were a few others who got their name known nationally, such as Dream TR. But Dream TR got himself nationally because he was his own publicist. He worked in Chips and Tricks,
hmm
and he got to publish his name. Like the time he ranked himself the best CVS2 player in the world, and they kind of trolled him about that in California.
Yeah,
But
I never
yeah, he trolled.
I never heard about that. I just
Yeah, 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 yeah. He ranked himself.
yeah, only
Um,
from his own personal records, I guess. But I never heard anybody talk about that.
yeah, so he worked for Tips and Tricks, and that's why his name became known. He just had a very good publicist, which was himself. Uh, but very few names were known nationally. The only two names that were nationally known in the arcade era were Jason Wilson and James MK.
Now,
Nobody else.
now, when you say nationally known, that's, I mean, really like IRC based stuff. Like, there's not,
Yeah, yeah.
it's not,
No,
yeah. I mean, Street Fighter didn't have, we have that like
no, but I mean,
1998
he was Dream
confrontation with
TR.
Street
So
Fighter.
Jimmy,
Yeah.
James MK did a lot of the guides and the books and
Hmm.
the articles in the magazines. And Dream TR, Jason Wilson did a lot of stuff in articles on tips and tricks, which is why, like, nationally known, um, you know, they were the only two names that were known nationally. Um,
Okay. So just to establish that, it's like there wasn't a whole lot going on. I mean, the world was not concerned about this stuff yet. The world
no,
wasn't concerned about
and
this stuff
and
10
Chicago was
years
in the
later.
chat. And well, just my point is that his name was known nationally, and then because of that, ultimately there were only two players that were nationally known in all of the arcade era, and you know, talking about who the top players were went by region. So, like when Summoning mentions Master John, well, I didn't play much in Atlanta. I went to Atlanta a couple of times during MK2 to the Galleria Mall, and I never ran into Master John.
Okay.
But if you were in that region, you know who Master John was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you were in Iowa, you didn't know who Master John was. You see my point? You
Yeah.
would talk about, who was.
Most people didn't know most people back then. It just was
Yes.
a thing. Most people didn't know. There was
Most people didn't know most people back
the
then. Yes.
fog of war, basically.
Yeah, like other top players in my area were Prophet, who people named Chicago has claimed that no one knew who I was in the arcade era. Yet Prophet, and man, I was definitely wrong for saying that acting like Prophet wasn't good. I was just being a
I,
salty bitch.
so okay. So Bill's MK Tom Brady is referencing when I first met him back in 2001.
Hmm.
That it was UMK3, and again, this was before, I think, even before Deadly Alliance was
Yeah.
announced. We were playing UMK3 at University Pinball in Philadelphia.
Hmm.
I was there specifically for that, and I wanted to enter some other tournaments. Again, this was like my first experience
I was there for
with
Tekken
it.
4. I wasn't
Yes,
there.
yes, and he had the Eminem blonde hair, and I I remember him using Cabal to like a level of proficiency that I would say I myself had only used because, again, as a lone wolf teenager in the 90s, you're not going to
Hmm.
come across a lot of high level players in arcade games, and unless you can find a group that goes to arcades, that's really how it was going to be. You'll find a random one off good player here and there, but when I saw Brady play, I was like, okay, like this is definitely like a style that is like more consistent with somebody who like obviously played the game. So again, it's not to say I don't think anybody's saying you never played it, but that did you play it to a, competent level?
Yeah.
All I had for years, for probably 4 years or more, was that day. That was it. Like that day, and I saw you playing Cabal, cross under spins, run jabs, babalities. Like, it was serious stuff. It was serious stuff. Now, like, what I say was like the greatest, play I had ever seen. I honestly like couldn't really tell you because the
You
biggest
didn't really
event
see
I'd
much
ever,
back then.
yeah,
Very
the biggest
few and
event I
far.
had been to was that.
Yeah, few and far between. Ultimately, um, I got really a lot of stuff started to pick up when people started to become more active on a site called SureYouCan.com, a legendary site. And when I first met Shock, he was there with Prophet, and Prophet, I believe, did tell you that I was good at the game,
He
and
did.
he played me in '95.
So he told me specifically, he's like, hey, I know this guy. We used to play at it was a Menlo Park Mall, was
Yep,
mostly where you guys played. Um,
Menlo.
yeah, and then later when Prophet was playing, I don't remember if it was in the actual tournament when he was playing against another player, Julian Robinson. Brady comes up to me, not knowing that we're friends, and he's like, man,
Yeah,
he's like, I used to play this guy. Hey, all he do is spam missiles with jacks. Like, yeah, he was trash, man. He was trash. And I'm like, who the hell does this guy think he is?
yeah.
He's just
I was such
he
a
was
mad dude
you were a punk,
because there was all this stuff with Chicago,
but
and
we didn't get along for years,
no, no, we didn't get along either. Myself and Shock, and what ultimately happened is there was a website called SureYouCan.com, and Shock was
I'm trying to get a picture of it.
traveling. So I was Shock. You can vouch for this. I was a tournament player. Like I was not a casual player. I believed
I
in
was I
tournaments and
would
tournaments only.
yeah I would define you as
Right?
somebody who like didn't really want to give up the tech, so to speak. That was
Yeah, yeah. I only cared about tournaments. So at that time, I was competing in Tekken 4, placing top 8 at a lot of majors in Tekken 4, and I just wanted to compete in current games. Nobody was playing MK4 anymore. Nobody was playing UMK3. That nothing. But then I see Shock with the Prophet going to tournaments with MK Trilogy, and getting some traction, but very little because nobody wants to play on the PlayStation 1 pad.
yep.
Nobody
I
wanted to play Trilogy
I
that
even had a
much.
stick. I had one that was like a
You made
knockoff
it. Yeah, you
Hori.
made it. Yeah,
That was that
yeah.
the Blaze. That it was like a two-player. It's like side by
Correct.
side, like two players. And I remember you saying you were like, no, 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 it has to be American. I was just like, all right, well, I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
well,
It has to be
I have a
American.
stick.
Yeah,
So
and
again, that was the way you were dealing with people. He was just like, well, I can't play on that. And I remember you playing on this like transparent blue like PlayStation 1 controller.
yeah, and I also for Tekken I had a stick. I had a Moss stick. Remember the big Moss system
Yes.
sticks?
Yeah.
But they didn't make MK sticks. You just
No,
had the standard,
you couldn't
eight
play
button,
on the
six
Street
button.
Fighter layout, and I would never
Yeah, you can't play MK on
begrudge
that
anybody
exactly.
for yeah.
So what happens is Shock, but then Kylara comes out, and Shock is then taking a PC, and instead of pads, he has controllers for those who want them. But then he also custom made, you know,
That was
Mortal Kombat style
yeah.
American sticks.
That was originally was oh my god, he was from Texas.
Hmm.
Dreaded Fist, I think was the first
Yes.
one, and he made those ones with the plexi, and those were really nice. So they were like kind of like half like moss and half like custom. They were
Hmm.
tapered and everything. Those were really nice. We had those for a few years, and then Arcade Ed made like the real like first mass produced
Yeah. Now,
mass
as
produced, but
Shock is
yeah.
doing this, a lot of my feelings for Shock have changed at that time because I see this guy going to tournament, and I'm like, you know what? This guy's he's teaching people how to play, and he's getting a small scene,
Mhm.
and
That's a good way
now
to
he's
put it.
run
Yeah.
now Shock is running events on the actual arcade version on Kylara. He's also going to the break and trying to get a scene and run tournaments on the actual arcade cabinet.
Yep.
So we're seeing a resurgence in UMK3. Coincidentally, at the same time, the person known as Chicago was created a thread on SureYouCan.com called the UMK3 Compendendum. What was it called?
It
The
was
thread?
compendium, or I think it was
Compendium.
supposed to be compedium. I think it was. I don't
Yeah.
know. I call it like flow, his stream of consciousness sort of
Yeah.
way to communicate.
So
Yeah.
what happens is, as UMK3 is starting to develop a very small tournament scene, and you and Prophet are starting to question the tier lists. Is this character better than we thought?
The
Is
combo
this better than this?
videos. Yeah.
Right? Combo videos. The person known as Chicago didn't like it. And
I was met with not just him, but met by great resistance from the existing, I would say, like the arcade era crew. Like no, like everybody was just like, how could any like random guy from New Jersey know anything
Mhm.
about
Yeah,
the
of
game?
course.
Yeah, let alone
Yes.
two. But yeah,
Well,
it was
my point is Chicago, who's in the chat, um, they were disagreeing with some of the opinions of the person known as Chicago. And as anyone who knows this guy has crapped on every single modern player that has ever lived. I mean ever. So as UMK3 is developing a modern tournament scene, which began to play the game at a level that surpassed whatever anything did in the 90s, um, The thread was on SureYouCan.com. It was not on UMK. UMK did not exist when this happened. Chicago has been known to stretch the truth. Shock, the UMK3 compendium was on SureYouCan.com. Yes or no?
Yes. Yeah. It was
Okay.
basically an effort to like educate the existing fans, people who wanted to learn the
Yeah.
game on
So
the
he
deep
was,
dish stuff, as we called it. It was
yes. So it
but
was,
there was
yes,
still
yes.
a lot to be explored. And actually the guides that I have on Ultimate MK right now, they're
Yeah.
massive guides, and a lot of it, I mean, I would say
True.
20% is based upon the input from Chicago, and in
Of
general,
course.
it's
They,
there.
not that they didn't know anything.
Yeah.
And can we at least come to a conclusion that the version of events and timelines is a little hazy for Chicago? Yeah, like it's
Well,
a little hazy.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
it's. I think that if he was around us more, it definitely would be. It would have been a different story. You have to get to know people. It's hard on the internet, especially in a competitive setting where you don't get to interact with people. It's just at the time
yeah,
really it was just
no
text
matter what the
and
player,
always a gang. There was always a gang everywhere, and I got
yes,
I got hit with the same stuff that you did. Nobody knew me at
nobody
all,
knew.
but they did know
And
you.
guys,
They did know
in
you.
the chat really quick, hold on, in the chat really quick, the player known as
I I'm
Chicago
not. Yeah, I'm
is
not on the
saying,
chat up home.
yeah, the player known as
Yeah.
Chicago is stating this thread was not on SRK, it was on UMK3.com. But the person who owns UMK3.com, Shock, is here to tell you that is not true.
No,
The
no, no,
thread
no,
was
no,
on
no.
SRK,
It
correct?
was no. It was on the original like the banter, everything from 2001, if there was, but definitely 2003 to 2006 was all SRK, nothing else. Because
Okay.
I opened Ultimate MK in like June of 2006. It was like 3 months after they announced Xbox Live UMK3. We had like already bought the domain and we were already ready, and then like they announced that and we're like, oh my god, we have to get this out
Shock,
now.
can I ask you a question?
I'm just saying, like
Chicago,
that's
Chicago in the chat is saying
um
not a single UMK3 tier list was published until you created UMK.com. That's not true.
okay, hold on.
That's not true.
Hold on. There definitely was a vague, not complete, but like a vague like top characters. Not I would say not like
Yep.
a through and through it. Now, don't quote me on
Gucci tier
that
list,
because
correct.
that's foggy, but that's that's what I hate tier lists myself. I can't. I just
True,
it's so
true,
annoying.
true. But
But
the point is,
you had to participate in that conversation if you were involved in the
mhm,
scene, and really at the time it was only opinions. You couldn't have matchups because there was no way. I mean, you weren't going to. First off, nobody was going to agree who was on the same level. Number
sure, of
one,
course.
because once the outcome of a set is something that an important player disagrees with, then it's just like, oh well, you got to get this guy in here and that guy and put them together, and
Yeah,
then you see it, and then it just becomes more theory fighter. But anyway, I want
true.
to go back on it again. By the way, I'm just to full disclosure, Chicago is welcome to jump in at any point if he wants to come in on this.
That'll never happen.
I'm
Just so you guys know,
don't all right. Calm
never
down,
happen.
Bill. Calm down.
I know.
Don't
I'm just
I?
letting it. No, don't get your
Okay,
hopes up.
all right, but
So,
just I'm just saying the invite is open. I would rather do this in a conversation. It's much easier
okay,
than going jumping back and forth from the chat. But I do want to just the first thing I want to clarify is that there was the first at least 3 years was on SRK. The first 3 years of
yeah,
all of this for sure. That's a guarantee.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. So,
yeah.
so this thread came out on SRK called UMK3 Compendium or whatever it was
Yeah.
called.
Yeah, and I'll tell you how I found out about it was when
Sure.
so it was at my old job back in the day with the Prophet, and Prophet came in and he's just like, Luongo, I just gotta let you know, there's like a midway tester he's dumping all his information on UMK3. He's like, it's a pretty big deal. That's how he brought it up to me, and I was just like, oh wow. So I was like, okay. So I went home and I was looking at this thread and it was blowing up. It was just I'd never seen that kind of enthusiasm for knowledge for a game like that.
Yeah.
We were seeing it for like Soul Calibur, like especially like Soul Calibur 2, because like frame data was like hugely
Mhm.
important in that. I think like people like recorded like VHS and like Frame Advanced to find all the stuff. Like
Mhm.
it was serious effort. We didn't get there for a while, but it was to at least see somebody like put words to paper and be like, hey, like this is how we played, and again, it was already, 6, 7 years after the game came out, and this
Yeah.
is
True.
this is 20 plus years ago then. So here we are, 30 years later. Actually, I
We
think
got 30
I
years
think
later. Yeah.
around now is actually today might be right around the technical like arcade release of UMK3. So it's a nice little way to honor that. Let me
Yeah.
just
So
you go ahead talk. I'm just gonna read what's being said.
okay. So what happens is then, and I just want Shock to confirm this as someone who was around in this thread, anyone who is disagreeing with the person known as Chicago was promptly dumped on because what the person known as Chicago cannot stand is the possibility that they're wrong. Um,
Well, I mean
so
that's a problem more than ever in society today. Is
yeah,
that
of course,
you
of
don't
course,
know, but nobody wants to
of
acknowledge
course,
when they're
of course.
wrong about something, no matter how severe it is. But when you're talking about video games, it should be, and again, it's the competitive spirit, the pride, and everything.
Yes,
And I make absolutely no equivocations that
a tournament that
when I played
that
Chicago, he
that
was
doesn't exist, that is denied existed.
but from my estimation at that point, he was the best UMK3 player I had ever played, bar none
Okay,
at that time. That
okay,
is, and I think that warrants actually mentioning
no,
mentioning
okay,
him by name.
no, we're
Um,
we're we're, we're not denying that. So what I want to talk about is still a little further down the time before we get to that. Before you at Chicago meeting and tournament. So what happens is in this thread, I see them just dumping on you.
yes,
And their
that
favorite
absolutely
term,
did happen.
come to Chicago and see what's up, right?
Five
That's
five
their
hundred $500 done with
first
this.
to 10,
Yeah,
right? $500, first to 10.
yeah.
So what happens is I jump in this argument and I am adamant on the forum that the person known as Chicago is a casual player and not a tournament player. True or false? I was adamant that you are a casual player, you're not a tournament player. But that rubbed the person named Chicago the wrong way. Doesn't like being called a casual, even though whenever
But
Chicago is called out, he
his
becomes a casual,
okay.
claims
So
he's a casual to
Chicago's
avoid.
focus was long sets,
Yes,
pretty
which is
much
a
you would
casual.
call like a fatigue factor sets where like
Yes,
you're just going to
yeah,
play, and then there's a lot to talk about versus and I in recent conversations said, I'm like, even back then, but especially not today, it's who won a tournament. And then
yeah.
obviously we know that probably by
Wait, can
the
you admit that
Injustice
my
era that
world
the
is
top
different from
8 became
Chicago's
important.
world? I was a
Yeah,
tournament
totally.
based person,
Totally different. Yes.
and
So
that
I
and
would say
Chicago's world was, and I had a serious problem with Chicago saying the best players are the ones that had the streaks on WaveNet, and I said
yeah,
that
so
is
that
incorrect.
I
Those
can
are
agree with, and I would say even more now, actually having played WaveNet. Um, that's I mean, okay,
it's not
so
UMK.
take it from the perspective of it being the next evolution of the game, and also people thinking that maybe this is going to become like a big thing and maybe save arcades, but coming from the perspective of being involved with it as Chicago was, and this could be a huge like boon to this competitive scene, that it would be considered at the time the most important because it was the most updated. But at the same time, it really, again, it's looked at even by people right now who are just getting to play it in the last week. It just looks like a community ROM hack, and it does not have like the seal of approval from Midway, even though it did in most technical sense. It does not have that feel to it,
Mhm.
and I think it's gonna hurt the reputation in like retrospect of the concept of WaveNet,
And I
not the
agree.
system, but the game itself, and that's my immediate perspective on it. And I went over this on my
I agree.
stream. If anybody wants to check it out, I got like a 4 hour stream. It's broken up into multiple parts, and that's on
Chicago is
YouTube.
saying in
So
the chat,
yeah,
at the first to 10 for 500 is the Jason Wilson call out. We know because we're going to get to Jason
Well,
Wilson
yeah,
here
we'll
shortly.
get to him. Yeah.
So
Also known as Dream
Dream
TR.
TR.
Yeah.
So while
So
I'm
and again, another person I did not have a good like a good experience with initially until I met him in person when we tested
MK9,
MK9. So and again, that's I've met with Chicago and the main Chicago players. They're all again
yes,
tremendous players.
yes,
Um,
they were all good, but they were not tournament players. Which all I said was, you guys are not tournament players. You are
now
casual players.
let's make the distinction here. When you say not tournament players, you mean people who simply just didn't participate in tournaments. Not that they aren't tournament caliber players. Now
Yeah,
that also has
my
another
point is,
distinction: is many
well, I'll
people
say
think
this:
that only
the
good
person,
people can play in tournaments. That's not true.
yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah.
well, the person known as Chicago will fold like a cheap tent if you ever get them in a tournament format, which is what I told you many times. And I'm not here for back talking. I say whatever I said, I'll say it to people's face.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say these things on the forums. Well, the person named as Chicago took offense to this and started on this that no one knows who Bill is. He's this, he's that. And while Shock would try to explain, he doesn't play UMK3 anymore. He's moving on to games like Tekken 4 and placing in modern tournaments.
Yes.
The
And
person
I
known as
picked up on
Chicago
that. Yeah.
didn't want to hear any of that. True or false?
No, of course he didn't, because it's not. It doesn't have anything to do with the universe that you guys were involved with. You moving on, and with there being any necessity for you guys to have this rivalry, then it would defeat the purpose.
Okay.
It's a game
Chicago, I'm going to
it
clarify
is a
this right
fan.
now.
Yeah.
Chicago claims there were no tournaments. No, there were no tournaments where you were because you didn't believe in them. However, in the arcade era, tournaments were primarily mall based.
Mm-hmm. And I know that
Regionally,
personally
correct?
from Prophet telling me that he played in particular and won MK4 tournaments in the late 90s. Like
That was not claimed by me. That was
yeah.
not claimed by me, Chicago. I don't give a fuck what some. We'll get to that article too, because the public execution is beginning.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what happens is,
We'll get to the world the
yeah,
world champion.
Chicago. The person referred to as Chicago is claiming that their problem with me started with that article, but that's not exactly true, is it, Matt? Because you admitted that Chicago dogpiled me for years before MK Deadly Alliance came out. True or false?
and me. It's not just
He dog,
you.
so,
And
yeah. So the
me,
person,
because we
known
were
as Chicago
yeah.
dogpiled me and you for years before Deadly Alliance. True or false? No proof. He says you're lying.
No, there's definitely posts going back to like 2003, 2004 on Sure You Can on the Super Combo site. You can look it up. There has to be some of that stuff still up there, but I know like 2002, 2003 is cut off. But I think that most of my posting was after 2003. So
Yeah.
we definitely can dig through that, but for sure. I mean that thread alone with the interview is example of it. It was after, it was 2004, but it was it was definitely, before like the '06 Xbox Live Arcade rebirth. But it's in there. It's right in the timeline. And then
I never knew that
what
article.
would the
I
difference?
never knew that article was even written. It was just
Really?
a private conversation I had with the guy over chat, voice chat.
So he didn't make that apparent to you that it was for like what was he worked for, like a website or
Yeah, but I didn't
magazine?
know. I didn't know it was published. I didn't know the title would be Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance National
Okay,
Champion.
all
I
right. So yeah,
didn't
so you
know.
got
I,
so
yeah,
you're
I
saying that you
didn't.
were saddled by railroaded by
Yeah,
it and
I didn't know
made,
what the forward was going to
but
be, and
but
in
but
some of the
you
chatting.
to be
Go ahead.
fair, that that completely was in sync with your personality back then. That was not hard to believe that it would be like this was some kind of, maybe even something cooked up by you back then to be like,
Yeah,
I'm telling you, like that's how
but
people perceived you
this is before we're talking before
without
this. We're going to get to
anyone
that.
else. Yeah.
So Chicago says he never dogpiled you. That's not true.
No, you did.
That's
You absolutely did. I can't.
yeah,
So
yeah.
okay, so Chicago says that it was more friendly ribbing when in our personal conversations, more akin to like almost like scripted WWE type stuff. that's not how it came off to me, because I was dismissed by everyone who was anyone before, obviously before I came along. I'm gonna drop a name, even Arturo, who I've become a great friend to him over the years, especially after MK9. He even would jump in, but again, it was more just that like schoolyard type hazing type
Yeah,
stuff.
Chicago
Yeah,
basically
but it was there
used
for
their
sure. I
poll
cannot.
as
Yeah,
a Dayton tester to speak their truth into existence. That's basically happened.
yeah. I mean, yeah. That's the illusionary truth
Yes,
fallacy or whatever it's called.
the
Yeah,
illusionary truth.
yeah.
Chicago spoke an illusionary truth into existence,
Mhm.
and because Chicago was a game tester, people just took his word because he said it. That's a
So
very dangerous thing, by the
so
way.
so I wanna contrast with from how you came off from my perspective. It was really like no different. Um, but I saw years later that it was, if that makes sense. That it
We can get to that.
when
We'll
you
get
would
to that.
talk about things, it was grandiose. It was over the top for sure, and that's always been your personality. And I don't really that really hasn't changed. You maybe suppressed it a little
Yeah,
bit in more recent years,
over the top.
but
Yeah,
yeah, but I didn't realize that because I didn't know you. And
you didn't know
that's
me.
really what it comes down to. All I know is like this was a guy who had never played me and was saying to some level you were saying you were the best. You were. You'd have to go through and look, but I do remember that very clearly. But on the opposite end, Chicago was absolutely saying it, that it was not a
Yeah,
question.
I personally believe,
Yeah,
and you know this, I
yeah.
believed if there was a tournament with me in them in it, I would have beat him. And I'll go to my
I don't.
grave saying that.
I
We'll never know
I
because
don't.
they don't have the balls to play me. So we'll never know.
I don't.
But
I can't. I can't say I agree with that. But your confidence
you may not
is
have
your
to. You may
confidence.
not
I
have
can't
to,
say I
but I'm
agree
just
with it.
telling you.
Yeah. I
Okay,
don't.
so
I don't
let's move.
for certain. If you were thrown in there with Mo, when Mo wants to turn it on, he can. But we know also that Mo has had a couple of,
It's also, you only saw me
losses.
playing the game after I quit for 10
For
years.
well,
So you and I was high level at other games
a
I was
few
playing.
years. Yeah.
So it is
No, no,
not
no.
beyond the realm
Absolutely.
of
It's not.
illusion.
So
It's not beyond
it
the
was
realm of
it was
belief
rear
that
view. It was rear view for you for sure at the time, for sure.
yeah. So
But
from here
it wasn't rear view, especially
for
not for
Chicago,
me because I was coming in wanting to play this
you were
game,
building the same. You were
find but
building.
discovering that there wasn't anything left, and then not realizing that there wasn't. I mean, again, I'm sounding like Shawn Michaels here, saying again over and over again, that there wasn't anything for me other than just sparring with random people. It was like you're a nomad in the woods and you're just finding
Mhm.
like these people who are, like living in like a shed somewhere and you
Yeah.
have to
Hey,
fight
do
for
you want to play? Do you
territory.
want to come to the break? Do you want
Yeah.
to? Yeah. Yeah. So it
Yeah.
was like
And the
that.
and the
Yeah.
break was even after that. I didn't know about the break until 2004. And I didn't know Chicago was at the break the year before that. I didn't know.
No, no. Because I ran into either way. I ran
Go
into you at
ahead.
the break before MKDA. That much I know.
Yep,
But
2001. It was exactly 24 years ago.
so what happens is myself and Shock have this beef back and forth, and I was tired of it.
Mhm.
So I went to East Coast Championship, hoping that Shock would
11.
be there,
Yeah.
and Shock pulled up. So I stopped every tournament and I said,
Yeah.
"Shock, we're going to play right now. True or false?"
It's absolutely true. I walked in cold to you. You and Julian Robinson were playing, and I think he had just beat you two in a row, by the way. But Julian, he knew me, and he was laughing, he was smiling. He was like, "Go ahead." He's like, "You guys play," and yeah. And what happened?
I win 2-0, and I told Shock, "That's elimination.
That's
Get
losers.
the fuck off
That's
the machine."
losers.
And we're talking trash back and forth.
That's losers
And
bracket. You
you went,
said, yeah.
yeah, and you went outside to your boy, and he goes, "Man, you got to play Bill.
That was
You got to
Jet.
get
That
some
was
wins.
Jet
We're never
Fee.
going to hear the end of it." Because I was
Yeah.
angry.
Shout outs to Jet Fee,
Um,
by the way. He really is one of the integral people in the scene who helped me get the classics and UMK3 in particular
and it,
at tournaments. And he was just like, he's like, you have to beat Bill. He's like, because we're never going to hear the end of this.
but that's only
and
because I was angry.
yes, I know.
Because I
You
was
weren't
angry.
mad at me. You weren't mad
I,
at me. Yeah. No, you
yeah,
weren't.
I
You
was
weren't mad at
angry.
me. But
So
your perspective
was
was,
mad at Chicago.
yeah, this guy
So
beat Chicago last year, and I just beat him this year. So what does that make me? And you said, and he's supposed to be the best. That was
Yeah, yeah.
this is
So we'll get to that. We'll get to that tournament in a second.
okay.
So what happens is, I so before okay, well before that tournament, what happened was I told Shock at one of the tournaments, I said, "Hey, listen, if you really want to break Chicago's power, get him out here in the tournament and see what happens."
Well,
So
we did.
Shock gets Chicago out in tournament. Now Chicago is beating you in casuals, correct?
I believe, and I'm just spitballing this, but I believe he beat me like 7-1 in casuals. The last match
Okay.
that we played in casuals was recorded, but I never got a copy of it. If a player by the name of Jason X is out there and he still has a copy of it, I would love to see that. It was Luke Hang versus Smoke, I believe, and that was the first match that I beat Chicago of the night. And
Okay.
I was
So he
happy. I was
beat you.
just like, cool.
We'll
I was
say
like,
7-1. He beat
I
you in
got to win. But
casuals.
he did. He did. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Okay. But the problem is the kryptonite of Chicago happened. The tournament. Now, even though Chicago had beaten you in casuals, you beat him 2-0 in tournament.
Correct.
And that's when the brain of Chicago explode out of his body, because then Chicago, when he started trashing you again, your boy Prophet said, "Hey, don't forget this guy beat you 2-0 in tournament." And Chicago's reply was, "I knew this guy was going to be a problem." True or false?
Yeah.
I want to keep going, but just say true or false.
Yes, that happened.
Okay.
This is my beef with that whole machine of like at least half a
Yeah.
dozen players who
So my
every
point
single
is,
time you would say anything would come in and
yeah.
dogpile and just like no,
So
don't look, nothing to see here, kind of stuff. And again, it was aggravating, and but I did get over it though. I did get over it.
So Chicago is telling you, because when I played you at the break, it was before MKDA came out. Because when we met in that first MKDA tournament,
it was 2001. It was the year before.
Yeah.
It was exactly.
So
it was the same tournament. It was NEC 2, and then NEC 3 was the first. It was like 2 weeks after the game came out. I didn't even play it.
So Shock
beforehand, I played in the
beat
tournament.
Chicago in tournament.
2-2 by the way.
Chicago, if you're losing to Shock in tournament, says, "Who are you going to tell about this? This is just this is just for fun." Is that not accurate?
It did. No, that happened. Absolutely happened.
Okay. So after this was over, and Chicago tried to do his dogpiling on Shock.
Well,
Shock
I'm going to say it didn't
and
really.
Shock's-
Yeah, no, it didn't really continue after that. Like there was
No,
a
but his point
mutual
was,
there was a mutual
tournaments
respect.
don't matter. I beat you in casuals. Those matches should weigh more than the tournament, correct?
No, I don't think it was phrased like that, but it was pure.
Tell me how it was phrased.
No, I really don't remember. That was I mean there was always an emphasis on like overall results, and that was really only after like the first tournament experience. But it didn't. Like I said, it settled down after that, and then we wound up. I mean, we wound up becoming friends after that, and it was a pretty big, like 2 years straight. I mean, 2 years of that, you'll never beat me around. Sorry.
Before that, when I met you that day at the break, because that was before you got tournament.
That was at University Pinball.
Yep.
Oh wait, no. When you came out to ECC 11 at the break.
So we had our, after we played each other, then we went outside and talked.
Yep.
And it was like, what's your problem?
Yeah, that was was after you celebrated.
Yeah.
On the opposite side of the building by the cheesesteaks. But yeah.
So we had our talk, and it was like, what's your problem? Like both of us to each other. And I'm like, well, Chicago is saying blah, 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 blah. And you blah, blah, blah. And you're like, well, Chicago is telling me blah, 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 blah. And so it was like, okay, we see what's going on here. And I was like, look, dude, Shock, I respect you, man. Like, I know you're a good player. I know whatever. I was like, I'm just telling you what they're telling you isn't true. And that's what I told you, right?
Yeah.
And I did tell you, I said, get Chicago outdoor tournament and his true colors will come out. Is that not what I told you?
But that tournament was the year before, though. There was the
true.
ECC,
but that's when you told me.
Before. Yeah.
That's when you told me.
Yeah, but he wasn't going to come out again.
Yeah,
he did do some other stuff. He did do some other stuff, but
that's when you told me. Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that because I actually got him out to a tournament, and he lost. and then said, "Who are you going to tell about this?" And then said, "UMK3 is not a tournament game. It's not made to be played in tournaments. It's meant to be played in long, casual sets to see who the better player is." Is that not what you told
Yeah,
me?
yeah, and to an extent, I do agree with that. But it's we kind of
But
shoehorned in the arcade games into FGC. They were for the very reason that we're talking about that right now is part of why the other games just didn't take them seriously because they're too
100%.
flawed. They're too flawed. And as much as I love UMK3, like they're still flawed games,
Yeah,
and even some of the other games are too. I mean, Street Fighter games and stuff like that. But there's just
100%.
they have more of a notoriety with the
Yep.
serious scene, whereas the MK games are casual games. That is, I mean, explicitly why they're made. They make an insane amount of money. I think the last couple games made more than any other ones, and they were
Yes.
not, they're not like particularly great. They're no
No,
MK9.
true. We know the problems there. But what happened was is Chicago had a real hard time reconciling his loss in tournament. It was just kind of like, I knew you were going to be a problem. Keep in mind, he dogpiled you for years. Then when you finally had your moment, he was like, don't bring it up, basically,
That's
or it's a problem, right?
that's an old story. That is an old like in general. Like that is like what happens, and it's called eating crow. It's
Yeah. And Chicago had a hard time with that crow.
hmm
Okay. So then what happens from here is myself and Shock kind of were cool with each other.
hmm
And Chicago is still going on that nobody knows who I am, correct?
I mean at this point in '06, I
No, no,
don't
not '06. We're
know.
talking about, after you and I met at the break, before MKDA
Yeah.
came out,
Yeah, that I
Chicago
mean
was,
that went
yeah,
on at least
for
until
years. Yeah.
yeah, I
At
would say
least until Deadly Alliance
until
came out. Yeah.
Deadly. Well,
So
yeah, for a year we'll say yeah that.
Before Deadly Alliance came out, and you remember this, it was the thread in which Dream TR called me out and said if you showed up, he would beat you with all turkey kicks.
Yes.
There was a thread for Midwest Championships in which Dream TR challenged me, Shock, I believe the words are, to any arcade Mortal Kombat game, first to 10 for $500, right?
Yep. hmm
What game did I choose?
MK4. As if you would
He did
choose
say,
anything else.
he did choose, his words were any arcade Mortal Kombat, correct?
hmm But does that count?
When I, cho- when I chose MK4, it caused a huge problem
hmm
because his
It,
response was, well, why MK4? And I said, you gave me the option to choose any arcade Mortal Kombat.
and here's the
So
ironic thing is that with Mortal Kombat as a series being like disrespected from the FGC up until MK9 basically,
mhm,
MK4 internally was pretty much the most disrespected MK game,
the most, yeah,
and that's why they would be like, oh,
but it was the
he should
most
know
recent,
that
right? At the time, it was
it
the
was
most
for sure
recent.
yeah
It was the one I was most in practice in.
it was over 5 years old, but it was the most recent yeah.
Yeah, and my point is, if they didn't know who I was, and I was actually some lying scrub, what is the problem with just taking my money and shutting my mouth? Because normally what happens is when you call out a scrub in any XYZ game, the scrub shows up, loses,
Mhm.
and is exposed, right?
Yeah, I
That's what
mean,
normally happens.
ideally, yeah,
Okay, or the scrub backs out
yeah.
and it doesn't happen and we know the truth, right? But
That's
but
usually
that didn't
right.
happen this time, right, Shock? What happened was something weird. Chicago and his boy Dream TR, who claimed no one knew who I was, and I was not good at any of these games, they backed out of MK4. They declined so they laid down a challenge. I accepted. I said, you challenge me to any Mortal Kombat for money. We're going to choose MK4. You're not going to get any retribution. I will play you in no other games. I will take my money and I will go home. So
Yeah.
they called it off.
So the issue,
Correct?
yeah, the issue with that is you don't make an open challenge and then not accept an open challenge. And I remember this clearly. Yeah, this is not.
So
Yeah.
if it was really true, If they didn't know who I
Yeah,
was,
why would they have?
they would have had
Yeah,
no problem playing me in
yeah,
MK4, right? If I
yeah.
was really some
But they
unknown
didn't
scrub.
play. But they didn't play MK4, and that's the
That's not
viewpoint.
true.
But
Chicago was a tester
I
in
know.
MK4.
But just
So
like not being tournament players and being casual players, you can apply that. Like saying like somebody didn't play a game. Like I didn't play, MKX, but I played it.
my
You
point
know,
is, they called me out in any arcade Mortal Kombat
I
game.
know.
TR played 4. They all played
They did,
4.
yeah, 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 for sure, for sure, but
So, they,
not to the extent that you did, which then brings it back to
but how would they know the extent I did if they never knew me? That's the issue. So
yeah,
my point isn't that they did play it to my extent. They did know who I was. They knew exactly what was going to happen. So Dream TR backed out because you would not back out of a money match with me if I was some unknown. They had no idea who I was. I chose MK4. It was like this guy was the guy in MK4. If we play him, we're going to lose. We're going to back
at
out.
least if they knew what to expect from you out of one game, I could see them not issuing the challenge at all because they would know that you're going to pick that game, and that's just and any series at any time in history from then until now, if you challenge somebody who says that they are like a proficient player in every game, pick a game, you're going to pick the newest one regardless of how good it is because that's just what most people are going to be following,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's like a crummy way to do it, but you know
100%.
but
So what
like
happened from here
if
is,
you were to pick
and you can be a witness
UMK3,
to
then
this,
they would have been understandable.
what happened from here is something that Chicago never thought would happen in his wildest dreams. They kept making Mortal Kombat games. Can we can can we at least laugh about this and say this is true? That this is not how Chicago thought this was going to go.
Yeah, well,
Can we at least?
I think a lot of people did think that with the way the arcade scene was going, that it would be difficult to just transition to console. I honestly, when Deadly Alliance came out, I was expecting an arcade release. I really was. And then when they were just like no arcade, I was just like, oh
Yeah,
man, and that
dude.
killed
Yeah,
competition for it
it did.
because
Yeah.
now you don't even
So
have like the one arcade per square 100 miles for people to go to and play this game. It's just I'm gonna
yeah,
play at home with my dog. Like
but it was
what do you
ingratiated by the
do?
3D scene very, very fortunately. So it was that a lot of tournaments that had Tekken 4 and
So
Soul Calibur 2,
when you say a
and then
lot,
it was
how many Deadly Alliance tournaments did you attend approximately while it was a relevant game?
about 15.
15. That's I
Um,
mean that's pretty
about
significant
15.
in we'll say what two
About 15.
years before Deception. That's
Yeah,
pretty
over those
significant.
2 years, yeah,
So
about
every 2
15.
months or so.
Um, no, it's not like tournaments were now where there's one every
We'll
month,
take that
right?
at
I mean,
face value.
because now you could go to a tournament every month or every week if you wanted to,
Yeah,
right? I mean, it's not like
absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened from here is Chicago, in his wildest dreams, thought this was where the story would end. However, I'm winning these MKDA tournaments. Now, at this point, people started going to Chicago and saying, it's awfully convenient or coincidental that you say this guy never won any Mortal Kombat tournaments, and then the minute they release a new Mortal Kombat tournament, he's the one winning them. Is that not accurate?
So both things can be true there. It is possible that you didn't win any arcade MK tournaments and then
100%.
started winning MKD. It's
But my point
absolutely
is,
possible.
it's
However,
very.
it's
But my
unlikely
point is,
that you didn't win
shock,
anything. Yeah, you didn't
shock.
win anything.
But
Yeah.
Chicago painted me out as the lying scrub who then had his wish came true and became a legit player. Correct?
Yeah. Now, did
Okay.
you have did
Hold
you
on.
have any
Let's stop right
any?
there.
Okay.
Let's stop right there. That only happens in Hollywood movies, where the lying scrub grows up to become a legit player
The
and the
redemption.
man
Yeah.
in the current game.
The redemption.
That only
arc, yeah.
happens in Hollywood. That's only in Hollywood movies. Shocked. Do you know why somebody would be a lying scrub? Because they're a scrub and they can't get results, so they must lie and create them. However, that was not me. So what happened is Chicago just couldn't let the MKDA thing go. True or false? Couldn't let it go. Bothered him.
I would just say that that is pure speculation, but
Okay.
it doesn't, it wouldn't surprise me if that was like, oh, geez, like this guy, like, because he believes what he believes about you. That's it. That's it.
Believes what he
So,
believes.
but yeah,
Yeah.
I can see that if somebody goes along
They sent a
to
game
achieve.
tester. So I won a few tournaments. And then there was more drama on SRK about was I actually beating good people, right? And
This stuff I'm not aware of what you're getting into right now.
okay,
I'm
but
100%.
you are aware that they sent a game tester, Ray DeGuzman,
Hmm.
Ray Rocca, out to NEC to play. Correct? He was a tester in MKDA.
Yes.
Okay, did he win?
I wasn't there for it. I don't know if that's
But
if that
you were.
is
You
that
have the results.
no. I have the
The one
results.
NEC.
That's right. That's right. I have the results, but
Ray Rocca.
I was
Ray Rocca.
not there for that.
Okay,
I don't
Ray Rocca. Did he
think I
win?
was. No.
Who won that tournament?
NEC 4. Yeah. So we have first place Tom Brady, second place Job.
We'll just stop
Yeah.
at Ray Rocca. Did he win?
No.
We're not. Okay, I won. So what happens here? Because again, we don't want to be. I want to be. We'll be here for an hour if we start talking every
Yeah.
name that ever played.
Yeah.
Um,
I think
so
we can wrap this up pretty soon.
yeah. So what happens is Chicago and his boy Adam Hernandez were on Shoryuken.com saying that, well, Adam also tested the game and he was the real blah blah blah. And what's they're saying? Come to Chicago and see what's up. Please tell me you remember that.
Yeah. That I know. Hmm.
Okay, so Chicago paints out this story. According to Chicago, I came to Chicago to play him in UMK3, and I had a bunch of recording equipment with me. But that's not true, is it?
Yeah.
The truth is,
I really I do not know where that came
okay,
from. I just don't.
the truth is, I came to Chicago to play Adam Hernandez and Deadly Alliance. That is the truth.
Hmm.
That is the truth. I didn't go to Chicago to play UMK3. Shock, I hated
Yeah.
it.
You wouldn't do that. Yeah.
Yeah. And Shock, I didn't play any UMK3 when Deadly Alliance was out.
No.
You know that, and I know that.
Hmm. No. It
So
took you.
I
It
went
took
to
you a long
Chicago.
time to start playing in our like UMK 3 side tournaments. Like it was really more when you like saw that it was becoming a thing, and you were like, all
Yeah.
right, you know what, I'll jump in because it might as well support the scene. It's
We'll come to that in
yeah.
the DOA 4 days when I played you in tournament. But what happens is when I went to Chicago to play her, this, I went to Chicago to play Hernandez.
Hmm.
When I got there, he did what he usually does, back out of the match. So now I'm in Chicago with no one to play. I played some casuals at a local's house. We picked up Chicago.
Hmm.
And then when I picked up Chicago, I said, "Where's Adam?" And he said, "Adam says you can have this round. I can have it." Yeah, bro, I would have beat it out of him. I can have this round. He'll see you in the next Mortal Kombat game. A coward's move. They had me drive all the way to Chicago, and then this friend who calls me out for money again. First Dream TR backs out. Then Hernandez calls me out for money. I get there. He backs out. And so I'm hanging out with Chicago. The next day, we go out to dinner. So I met him at his job at Rothrell's, and we go out to dinner at Hibachi Place. Myself, Chicago, and my friend Derek Perez. Chicago says, "Hey, there's Nickel City is right here." So we put some, vodka and Snapples, and we're playing casuals. And Chicago sets up his camera. My friend Derek sets it up on a tripod, and Chicago records all 3 hours of casuals. Now, there was an MK4 machine in the cabinet, but Chicago would rather die than face the devil in that game. So he puts the UMK3 board in. And we proceed to play for 3 hours. Now, Shock, this. I did not claim that I wasn't like I said, "Oh, I mollywopped him. I beat him down." I never said that, correct?
No.
I said,
Hmm.
won a lot of games, but I also told you I won a lot of games, right?
Hmm.
I said both things. And
But ultimately, what matters is that Chicago won more games. That's
I would say ultimately, I would say, yeah, but it was close, is what I'm telling you.
in
We're playing,
terms of the most like trite
yeah, yeah,
and like
true. But again, it was close. The score was probably extremely close within a handful of games. But keep in mind, I hadn't played in 10 years, and this is the only game that Chicago plays. So I would say those results kind of lean more toward the fact that I was what I said I was in the 90s, that I was not some guy who didn't know what he was doing in the game. The problem is when I came back, Chicago. Okay, so can we get right? Because Chicago's story was I went there to have this beef set with him. That is a lie, correct? That is not true. Or it's a misremember. Let's say that, right?
We'll call it that.
Okay, so it's a misremember. You can testify that I did not go to Chicago to play UMK3. I went to play UMKDA.
Playing UMK3 was not your main focus, but I mean,
No.
if that was going to be there to do, and there was nothing else to do.
But I actually had not planned to play to Chicago. I had not planned to play him. I was going there only to play Adam Hernandez.
Yeah.
So when
And
Chicago says,
like I said, I'm a little foggy on this stuff, but I do remember like the aftermath. I don't remember the build to it so much.
Yeah, okay. But you know I didn't go there to play UMK3.
Correct.
Okay. So Chicago told Rio that I had a beef set with him and that I came to Chicago with all this recording equipment to record the UMKB set. That is not true. Can you at least vouch for that?
Yeah, I can't see how that would be a thing. I really don't, especially not posting a video of yourself losing.
It was during MKDA.
Yeah.
I was not going to Chicago to play anything other than MKDA. So what happens is I played Chicago for 3 hours. When I came back, now I shook his hand. I said, good shit. I thought we left on mutual respect.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing Chicago can't do is take a fucking loss.
All right.
So what does he do? We play for 3 hours and he only puts up one video of me losing. And when I asked, where's the other footage? Chicago claimed every footage, all 3 hours minus one match, was destroyed.
Yeah.
Now,
I don't know.
Now, Chicago claims that it was my camera that was used and I took the videos down. But I actually got to corner Chicago today on this. And he said, no. There were no videos. It was only one video. And then Chicago claimed that the video that was posted of him beating me was taken down because I complained to Google about it. Can we verify that is a lie?
That I don't know.
Okay, but it was not taken down. You had it on umk3.com, right?
Yeah, it's just sitting on the server. It's not.
Yeah, so the point is Chicago said that it was taken down because I complained to Google, and I said it was never taken down. It was always on umk3.com.
Ultimate MK.
Yeah, it was never taken down. And all I asked,
I don't know when I put that up
okay.
there. It could have been after the fact. There may have been a point where it just wasn't up at all. There might have been.
But my point is,
but I can't.
My point is, it was up for many years.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it really only went down until you shut down UMK3.
It's still there. It hasn't been shut down.
Oh, it's still there. Okay, so the footage has never been taken off the internet.
Maybe for a few years in between that where I maybe just didn't realize I still had it.
Sure.
But I put it up at some point. It's been at least 10
Chicago
years.
was claiming the footage was taken down because I asked Google to remove it. That's not true because you had it for years.
Yeah, I don't know how that would even be.
In your best recollection,
I don't know how that would be possible.
In your best recollection, who posted that video?
It would have to be Chicago or somebody in that group, but
it wasn't me.
It wouldn't
because I've never given you a single video.
I really don't think it would be him.
Okay, so Chicago, who claims I recorded the footage, that's a lie. One of the many lies of Chicago. And when I asked Chicago, hey, can you put all the footage up? Chicago told me he didn't have the rest of the footage. Now, you guys are familiar in the chat with what it means when somebody plays a 3-hour set with you and only posts one video. You guys can surmise that it didn't go the way they were hoping it would go. That is not uncommon. This is what happened to Chicago. Because Chicago was trying to paint me as someone who didn't know the game, so he could not post footage of us going toe-to-toe in games because that is contrary to what he's been telling people for years and years and years and years. So Chicago now created this lie in which I went to Chicago to play UMK3. I would rather chop my face off than do that.
Yeah, I can totally confirm that you would not be motivated to play UMK3, to travel to play like a
while MKDA is out. Not even close.
And
no.
Not even before that. I couldn't see you doing that.
No, because I was playing Tekken 4. I was not going to play. I know I'm playing what I'm playing in tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So Chicago story is a lie. When I got there, I was there only for MKDA casuals because Hernandez quit. He dropped out. He didn't want to play me. And then the next day, it was a very impromptu. Let's go out to dinner. Let's kind of mend bridges here.
Mm-hmm.
We had a good hibachi dinner, and then we had some vodka and Snapple. You know, we went to UMK3, and it was like, hey, let's break bread. Let's play. Let's get it over with. Shake hands, go home. The matches were very much back and forth. He did edge me out in wins. I've never denied that. Shock, true or false. I've never denied that he had more.
Correct.
What I've always told you is I beat him a lot. That's what I told you. I said, dude, and I told you
more than
that
expected.
I told you I trashed his Kung Lao. I told you I beat his Kung Lao mercilessly. And you said to me the same thing Chicago said. That's a bad match, correct?
It is a bad match, yeah.
But did I not say, but according to Chicago, if I've never played the game, it shouldn't matter, right? So my point is, it shouldn't matter that it was a bad match if this guy is claiming I never played the game at high level.
Yeah, that's just a formality. That's just a formality. Yeah.
Yeah, my point is, when I asked Chicago to put all the footage up, he refused. And now years later, Chicago tells the story as I went there for some beef set showdown, which you can say sounds totally off the wall because it
doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I don't know if, like, again, there was so much back and forth that there could have been.
It was there for Deadly Alliance. I was there for Deadly Alliance.
But there could have been posts where you were just like, oh, that's it. I'm going to come out for this. But like, okay, we're so many years past this. I know. It's just Chicago.
There's no
reason
keep in mind,
you guys to be in this same loop. There's no reason for
can you give me this? I got over it and moved on. I hadn't talked about Chicago in 20 years. It's he that brought this back up.
So I don't know the cause and effect of this recent scuffle.
You hadn't heard me talk about Chicago for 20 years.
Yeah, but I don't know if this was from a podcast that you did and maybe just came up.
It's from me getting the attention of streaming Legacy Kollection and somebody's ego is hurt. That's where this is coming from.
All right. Well, I will have to discuss that with him because now we're starting to get to where. Yeah,
we're speculating. But the point is,
I just don't. Again, I don't know.
Yeah, but the point is, Chicago made it out to me to be that I took this footage, and that guys in the chat,
that doesn't.
The footage that went up was me losing a game. Why would I record a video and only put up one match of me losing?
Do we want to show it?
It doesn't make any sense. No, I want to wrap this up soon.
Okay.
It was one video. It was the last video we played of the night. It was the very last video.
It was, huh? Okay.
Where he picked a Nightwolf against my Cabal, and he beat me. And when I asked Chicago what happened to the rest of the footage, Chicago said the footage was lost. The camera was messed up, or whatever it was. Now Chicago is telling the story as I recorded footage and refused to put it online because I didn't want to show the truth. But if that's the case, why would the match I put up be the match of me losing?
Yeah,
and also you can confirm I didn't put that match up. Can we at least give me that?
I really don't think that it happened that way. I really, really don't. There's no. It just doesn't make sense. Like prima facie, it doesn't. It's totally off the wall to think that people who have such a heated rivalry going on, that the guy who traveled went out and was just like, hey, look, I lost to the guy that said he was going to beat me. It doesn't make any sense.
I only posted one match. But Chicago was trying to say that I was trying to deny what happened. If I was going to deny it, wouldn't I post the matches of me winning, not of one of me losing?
That would make sense.
Okay. So you can at least give me that I didn't post that match.
There's no way. There's no way.
Because I didn't have the footage. Now, chat. Here's the truth.
The only reason you would ever post that is if it was up and taken down, and you were just like, "This is for posterity." But I still don't think that, especially not then, you would never.
So, guys, chat. I want to ask the chat. Can you think of any reason why Chicago would play me for 3 hours, but only upload one match of him winning? Only one, and not show the rest of the footage? Chat, can you think of any reason why somebody would play a long set and only show one match of them winning?
Well,
we all know the reason.
Yeah.
We know why people do it, right?
So
That's what Chicago did.
I can provide the footage for the chat, just if they want to relive
Sure. Yeah. This was the last match of the night,
your humiliation
and
for the week
yep.
for the week. So I will bring that up right now.
Yeah, this is the last match of the night. He steamrolled my Cabal at Nightwolf. We played for hours and hours and hours. In Chicago only put up one video of him winning one match convincingly and didn't put up the other 3 hours of footage.
That's pretty decisive, that round right there. Even though he did drop like 2 combos, but let's see if he gets this one. That's a good one. That was a good combo right there. Oh my god. I don't know what you said in the end there. Do you remember that? I'm sorry. I'm laughing at Bill getting
This is
completely
again
demolished there, but
yeah. Is that the only video that went up?
that's the only one I remember. I thought maybe there
So
was.
why would I
ones.
post that if I'm trying to deny the truth? I mean, if I was going to deny the truth, I wouldn't post that video, right?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, dude. It doesn't make
Okay.
sense. I wish I wish that there was more. Like I said, the
believe
file
me,
name I
That
had mentioned
footage
to
will
you.
never see the light of day. That footage will never see the light of day
The file
because
name
of what
is
actually happened when we played.
the file name has an _9 at the end, which would lead me to believe that there's at least 8 other videos, or there were. I don't know
You'll never see.
if they just like I don't know.
You'll never see him.
I kind of remember there being like 1 or 2 other ones, like at least like temporarily.
You'll never see him. You'll never see
but
him.
maybe not. I maybe not. I definitely
You'll
could be
never
messing
see him.
with that.
You'll never see him. So that was what I thought was the end with me in Chicago. Now Chicago has twisted his story around to make it out like I recorded this set and didn't put the results up. That's a bold-faced lie. And even you have Shock here saying
that is like that's the main point of contention right now, is that like, why would you post a video of yourself losing? Okay,
and yeah,
I
when we
don't
played
I
for
don't
3
understand
hours.
that. It's really again. I
And
hope I hope he'll talk to me after this.
Yeah.
I do still want to get him on. I don't know if he's going to do it. I do.
Yeah,
but
and
I do want
Chicago
him to
even
talk.
said in Rio's chat today, I have the footage still.
He does.
So I said, well, Chicago, if you have the footage, doesn't that prove that you were the one that recorded it, right?
That happened today. Like this is news to me. Like
Yes,
I said,
today he admitted in Rio stream that he has the footage.
Okay, so he
I
said
said
he did
so
record him.
So I said, well, Chicago, that makes you a liar because you've been saying that I have the footage. And the problem is in Rio stream, I tried to pin him down and say, Chicago, yes or no, this is this. And he said, I don't want to answer. I'm not on the scene. What do I know? And can you be honest here?
Yeah, I know.
Chicago was very squirrely that he does not want to give a direct answer to anything because he doesn't want to be pinned down.
He wants to save face. For sure.
Okay, so he doesn't want to say anything for fear that he might be wrong. And I can say, now that I got you saying this definitively, boom, that is what liars do. So on to this article. Shock, can you just read the first sentence of the article?
Hold on a second. I gotta bring it up. What was that?
Just read. I just want the first sentence.
Yeah, I'm opening it now. It takes a couple seconds for Super Combo to open up.
Yeah. Just the first sentence.
All right. Okay, so the post from Higher Jin published. Okay, so this is published August 21st, 2003.
Just the first sentence, please, because that says it all.
We speak to the current Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance U.S. National Champion to ask his opinion on the game itself, including its strengths and weaknesses, and how it rates at a serious competitive level.
Yeah, that's it. Again, repeat just the first sentence.
Okay, we speak to the current Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance U.S. National Champion.
Okay. Was there ever a U.S. national championship for MK Deadly Alliance?
No.
Did I ever claim there was one?
Not in so many words, but you're the way you asserted yourself, it did seem that
I
way.
said I was the best player, but I never said I won an official
Yeah.
national tournament.
There was no way to confirm that. So
because I never claimed it. Shock, have you ever heard me say I won the official national tournament for MK Deadly Alliance?
no, not in that sense, but definitely that you were in fact the best.
The best player.
Yeah.
But I
sure.
never said I won the U.S. national tournament, right?
Yeah.
So,
but I think that the person who made the article just has like I don't know if it's like a word whisker. Is that no? It's not the right word for it. To say that somebody who is maybe the most successful in calling them national champion is like a flattering way to make an article seem more interesting, an embellishment, if we would say. But for sure,
Yeah.
no, there were no any significant tournaments of any kind in the 90s. It just wasn't a thing.
Yeah, well, this is not even the 90s, it's 2000s, but even still, they were just grassroots tournaments, right?
This
They were
was
grassroots.
this was still pretty much an extension of the arcade era. Sorry, I should have said the arcade. Yeah,
but this was grassroots. It was held at a Tekken and Soul Calibur tournament. There was no U.S. So the point is, this guy is embellishing. I didn't write the forward, right? This guy wrote the forward.
Yeah.
I had no idea what the forward was even going to be. And we didn't talk on text. We talked on voice, which was very new at the time.
Okay.
And he interviewed me and just filled in. And I can promise you he didn't record it. He just wrote some things down.
I'm reading over this again. Like, this is pretty nutty. But yeah, he
tried to fill in my words.
He lists you as the previous world champion in past Mortal Kombat games. Like,
so
that is quite the statement to make.
Yeah, I have no idea this is even there. So when Chicago claims that this thread is his problem with me, you can testify that this problem with me started 3 years earlier.
Yeah, roughly. Yeah, I mean maybe at least 2, but yeah, we'll just say that.
Yeah. So Chicago claiming that either way.
I was going to ask you before. Did you have any crossings with anybody from this like crew of like, you know, OG arcade guys before this? Like before this whole thing blew up?
No, because they didn't play in tournaments.
But you weren't like traveling then and happened to, like, you know, go to Chicago or something or anywhere where there was anybody who played.
But none of them.
So you did for
were 4. In 4, but none of them.
Yeah.
I knew of them because of WaveNet, and they didn't want to play 4.
Okay.
And you know how I feel about them.
Neither would I.
Feel like you know how I feel about them. And here's the thing, Matt. You know this. I have never backed down from their challenges. The only reason why their challenges have never happened is because they backed out of them. True or false?
Yeah, and honestly, Chicago's the only one who ever took it up.
Okay, and
when
they would call me out, when they would call me out, I would say yes, let's do it. True or false?
And that was it.
And they would always back out. True or false?
That, so far as I know, and I don't have a lot of examples, but just the ones that you stated.
We have
today.
A few, not a ton, but a few.
Yeah,
here's
I'm
the next thing.
Certain of.
If I truly am lying about all this, Shock actually saw a reaction with me and his friend Adam Hernandez, who was one of the guys that did the dogpiling, face to face at NetherRealm Studios.
Yeah,
correct?
You practically dragged me over to watch this.
So our first day there, I said, "Hey, remember that guy Adam Hernandez?" Shock goes, "Yeah." I go, "He works here." I said, "I'm going to call him out right fucking now. I'm tired of his mouth." True or false?
That happened.
And right in front of him, in front of everyone that works there, I said, "Hernandez, you and your boy, Chicago, have been crapping on me for years and years and years, and I'm tired of your mouth, and I'm tired of you running from me."
Hashtag highly unprofessional, but yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's how mad I was, though, right?
Yeah.
So I said, "Hernandez, you and your boy Chicago have been lying about me for years and running from me, and I'm tired of it. I said, now you have a 6-month head start on me in MK9. I said, you're so garbage that my one day of playing this game, I will crush you right now in front of everybody. Is that not what I said to him?
Yeah, that's the basic gist of it. I don't
And he
know if it was
declined.
that. I don't know if it was that expletive, but yeah.
It was, oh, believe me. And he declined.
Yeah, because it's just that just wasn't going to happen. You were getting
Of
your
course.
rocks off there, and it
But
was.
he would play anybody
I
else in
thought I
casual.
thought
Wouldn't
I
play
thought we
me.
were done at that moment, and then that wasn't the worst
Nope.
thing you said during that
Nope.
week.
No, it wasn't. But there was the me and
S-
check in the hotel room, which
That was bad too. That was bad too. That was a little more intense. But the
when I
worst
told
thing
them
of
their
the
game was
weekend
unplayable.
is when you told the room of programmers, "Hey, is there
Yeah.
anybody in here who can change something about this game because it's unplayable?"
Yeah.
And I walked
That's
out of
true.
the room, and I was like, "We're done. We're done. That's it."
But hold on. Would you say that I conducted myself as if they all knew who I was, or
You
that I
you
was some liar who had to tread on thin ice because I knew I'd be busted?
that is
How did I conduct myself?
that is your abundance of confidence speaking. That is yeah. You walked in like
Like
they
I know these guys,
yeah yeah.
and I'm not going to deal with their shit. True or
Yeah.
false?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And it
So
was
either I'm
whatever was going to
delusional
happen
or
was
I'm
going to
telling the
happen.
truth, right?
Yeah, but that all happened. That all happened for
So,
sure.
but when I said this to Hernandez, he didn't act like he was delusional. He knew me,
Yeah, no,
right?
he
He
was
knew me.
perfectly respectful because he needed to be because it's his
Yeah,
job.
but
He's not going to
and here's the next story. At PD, Shock doesn't know this. At PDP tournament, I couldn't compete
Yeah.
because I tested MK9 for a week. I couldn't compete,
Oh, you were only
but
there for
Hernandez,
a week with us?
yeah, I was there for 1 week.
I thought you were there for like at least like a stint. Okay. Uh, I don't know
Yeah,
where I got
I
that
was there for a
from.
week. So when PDP tournament was, there were these side tournaments. So I couldn't compete in the main one. They
Yeah.
held these side tournaments where it was 8-man single elimination. Everybody puts in $10, winner take all.
Invite only pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, they held them on the side. I said, Hernandez, let's play right now for money. He declined. I said, let's play right now on stage for money. He declined. I said, let's play on stage for free. He declined. And anyone that's at PDP will show. So what we see here is a pattern of Chicago. I call Chicago out all the time to this day, Shock. And does he not decline
What for what?
to play me? I said to Chicago, I'll play you right now. And he declined.
I don't
He
know.
doesn't want to play.
I don't know. I know that you have mentioned that this happened recently. I didn't see it myself,
I
but
did it in Rio Stream. I called
okay.
him out in Rio Stream because what happened is Chicago said, hey, Bill doesn't know MK2. And I said, why don't you play me right now in MK2, Chicago? Do you think he's ever going to take me up on that? You know he wants no part of MK2. He wants no part of MK4. Chicago may play me in UMK3, but he won't. And he declined it, saying, oh, I'm a World of Warcraft player now. Because the real truth is, if Chicago loses to me in UMK3, which you don't think he will, but there's still
No,
a
I don't.
chance.
No, I definitely don't think he will. For a
But there's
first
a
to 10,
chance.
a first to 10, I'm gonna say it'll go like probably 10-3.
Nope, I'm not playing first to 10. We're playing first to 5.
First to 5. Okay, well then just
Yep.
divide it in half.
We're gonna play first to
I'll
5.
give you 5-2.
And we're gonna play first to 5. And he's gonna choke like the bitch. I shouldn't say that.
Don't
He's gonna
say that.
choke.
That's
He's gonna fold. He's gonna fold
stricken from the
like a
record.
house. He's gonna fold like a bunch of fucking playing cards because what Chicago's kryptonite is finality.
Yeah.
You got this many games. You don't have 500. You don't have 300. You don't have 25. You got this many games with everything on the line. And if you lose, you shut the fuck up forever. Chicago will never take me up on that.
What you are hearing are like words from like the past. That's like the ghost of like vicious Brady there. The confidence. Yeah.
And can we at least say this?
I have to
I have to go too. But
yeah.
Chicago has
yeah.
had a hard problem, at least speculative, with my last 20 years.
I mean, I can only assume that. Like if
And I'll say this: when I won MK9 at Power Up, Chicago messaged me on Facebook. And did he congratulate me? No. Fuck you, fraud, bitch, blah, 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 blah. We know the truth, fraud, fraud, fraud. That is called jealousy.
See, all right. he like
That's all. There is no
so
reason
so
for 20.
there was a huge gap where I didn't speak to him for like 10 years, we'll
Yeah.
say. At least 10 years between like 2012 and like 2023 or whatever it was. But the last time that I spoke with him was after those seasons beatings 2011. I won UMK3, and he messaged me and congratulated me for winning that. And like
Nope.
I
Not
thought
me.
that I hadn't really spoken to him in a while at that point,
Not
and
me.
I was
Nope.
very. So I'm just saying, I'm like
Nope.
I don't know
Message me.
if the vendetta
Nope.
is legit between you guys and it isn't just like really like just like drastic trolling.
But the vendetta
I
started
I
because
can't.
Leck
Yeah.
was crapping on me and I wouldn't take it. That's what happened, right?
Hmm.
That's pretty much how it started.
Turf war is just protecting the territory, and the
Yeah.
territory unfortunately is just too unstable.
Yeah.
Um,
And the problem is Chicago never planned on me over the last 20 years.
well,
To Chicago,
I don't
my
think
story was
anybody
going to
planned
end.
for that. But yeah, no, you have, as I've said to you, you have a body of work that's undeniable. And I wish that Chicago had stuck around and come out like, especially at some of those ones where like Mo came out, Mo and Thrower came out, to some events,
For a tournament, right?
and like he could
For a
have.
tournament, right?
I don't know where he was living at the time, so it
But for a tournament, though.
difficult.
But
But I
Mo
wish he would
for a
have
tournament.
in
Mo came out for a
post
tournament.
MK9. Yeah, like post MK9, like Mo was still
So Mo
entering
came
UMK3
out for a
tournaments.
tournament, right?
Mm-hmm.
Say that word again.
Tournament.
What is the one thing that Chicago wants no part of?
Yeah.
Chicago is not a tournament player. And this comes down to a disagreement that Chicago and I live in two worlds.
Mm-hmm.
I live in a
He is not a
world.
player who enjoys participating in tournaments for sure. For
Yes,
sure. But
of course, I wouldn't enjoy either if I
yeah.
kept losing in
But
them.
yeah,
I
but he
guess I wouldn't
absolutely
like him either.
well, you have quite a string of losses under your belt as well. But we'll
in top eights,
I know,
and major ones.
against
This
people
guy,
who have won like well over six figures in tournaments. But yeah,
yeah, not in the MK
no,
scene.
no.
MK scene is as poverty
Well, just
as
Sonic
it gets
Fox,
for tournaments.
just Sonic Fox. That's really all.
Sonic Fox makes the equivalent of 55,000 a year. Man, you work at McDonald's for that.
Yeah, well, I'm not
Um,
saying in 1 year, but in total, I mean, he's got quite a bit of tournament winnings under his belt. So
and
yeah,
still has to rent an apartment with 5 people. But we're not going to get into the Fox.
we don't
Yeah,
don't
but
get into
but the
that.
fact of the matter is that yeah, I've taken losses in top eights, but when I lose, have you ever heard me not shake someone's hand? Have you ever heard me call them a cheater? Have you ever heard me
Not to their face, at least. No, you're in the moment. You're always very cordial about your, shortcomings. I say, but
but the thing but I mean there are good players. Top
yeah,
players
for
beat top
sure, you
players.
can acknowledge that absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, my point is yeah. Look, Sonic Fox is the MK player these days. That's true.
Since
But I look at
Injustice.
Sonic Fox like the Days and Champions in old wrestling when they
Mm-hmm.
say, what's drawing any money? Under the Sonic Fox's watch, the Mortal Kombat scene has crumbled into dust.
You
And
saying
a
he's
lot of that
like
is
Cody
because of
Rhodes?
who its champion is. As a matter of fact, I will say 99% of the reason that MK is bad is because of who its face is.
So
Because
I wouldn't.
that's
I would say that it's because he wins too much.
no. I say it's because they make games a certain way based
That
off
doesn't
of
matter. If they're
no
doing
no
that,
no
they're doing that. But
no 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 no
but
no.
on its
The real truth
face,
the real truth is modern Mortal Kombat is designed in a way in which certain things that a lot of the modern players, Fox included, finds annoying, and they virtue signal based on anything that they don't like. The players like Sonic and those that follow his lead say, "Oh, this is not neutral. NRS, don't put it in your games anymore and take it out."
yeah.
It is very much a one-dimensional game. Um And that's pretty much what Mortal Kombat is,
Okay.
unfortunately, and that's
But
why it doesn't do very well
take that
anymore.
as we may. It is still from the general perception of the fighting game community, and then more heavily scrutinized by the
Of
scene
course,
itself. That if a person is
MK
winning
received
every
very well
single
though.
game,
MK9 was quite popular.
yeah. But if a
It was
person wins consistently with, I mean, what four, at least what 4 or 5
yeah. I mean,
different
there's no
titles now,
denying.
people do
There's no
get it's
denying.
there's a
No
fatigue there
denying
for sure.
Onyx achievements. There's no denying it. Absolutely. And
But it just means that other
I'm not.
people have
I'm
to
not.
come across, and
I'm not.
there have been people who have come up and been at least like a threat to winning, and and we're getting into a whole different thing here. We can go to, but
I mean, either way, um, a lot of this is just Chicago changing timelines, changing events. Um, even the one time I did play him, the footage isn't up. I mean, then lies about the footage. I mean, Chuck, I've always been straight up with you. I told you that I played him when I went to Chicago, right? I didn't deny it, right?
absolutely.
And I didn't say like, oh yeah, I mopped him up, right? I didn't say that.
No,
So
no, I don't remember. I remember there just being an like the main issue with that was that there weren't more matches posted, and you were
yeah,
certain that there were more.
because the truth is, Chicago tried to make it seem like it was my demolition, correct?
Pretty much.
And I said he's a liar because he is.
Yeah, but
Chicago
it
is
just it
a
sucks that like there isn't the evidence to support it. Uh,
because he won't release the evidence.
but
And do you know why he won't release the evidence?
well,
Shock.
okay.
He won't release the evidence because it don't look good for him.
let's
Why?
let's let's work on that. Let's work on that. If I, again, if he may never talk to me again after today. I don't know, but you know, let me talk to him and see if he can scrounge that up, and if we can get that
We
posted,
will never
we can review it. We can watch it, and we can talk
we
about
will
it.
never have a sit down. And ultimately, the reason why the classic games will never grow is because the older community cannot let their ego go. They have a serious problem with the level the newer players are playing today. Can you at least acknowledge that?
Yeah, yeah.
And the scene can never grow
It's
because
it's the frame data era, like the frame data like generation.
yeah,
It's like when we played, like all we knew is like based on like visual, like this is okay, this
what they
beats
say the
this, and this is
keyboard is
good. Yeah,
cheating. Shock, this is a
yeah.
bunch of horse shit. You know it, I know it.
So
Um
I okay, so I don't consider it cheating because anybody can pick up a keyboard and play. Uh, but it is a distinct advantage. It's just that you have to take advantage of that. I prefer to play on keyboard. I've been playing on
your
keyboard
keyboard, yeah,
for
you
30
play on a mix.
years. I've
Yeah,
been
I
playing
mean
keyboard.
ultimately my main issue right now with Chicago is the newer players, the games will never grow. No matter how good Legacy Collection gets, the games will never grow because players like Chicago will piss on every new player. For
I
example,
I okay,
Biggs
so
told us.
I don't think that really matters because I honestly
Well,
I really don't
my
think many
point is,
people even care about what we're
there's too
talking
much
about
of a
tonight. But
clashing of the old school and the new school with these classic games. The older players don't embrace newer players that want to get into the game. They want to run them down and call them names. A great example is Biggs, who plays on Fightcade, does random, gets Kung Lao.
Chicago.
So Biggs is like, you know what? I'll give this guy some respect. I'll random back. Biggs is playing on a stick, jab down, leaves, say Biggs is a cheater, say Biggs is trash, Big doesn't know anything. That's what it does. And Biggs mopped him. And it's like, Chicago, what are you doing? A lot of these
No,
classic
Biggs is
players
he's a good
have a
player. I play him
very
in person. He's a good player. I like. There's no. I don't know. It's just.
but my point is a lot of these classic players have if Legacy Collection ever gets fixed and is going to grow, classic players have got to stop crapping on new players
I
that could
agree.
prospectively pick up their game. Is
Yeah.
that not true?
Yeah. It would definitely help, but I don't know how much. I really don't. It's the players who are going to get crapped on are already going to be they're crapped on because they're good or they're better than would to be expected, and people just don't want them
Yeah.
to know that.
I understand you're trying to be respectful of Chicago,
I am.
but you got to understand
But I don't.
I have very little. I have
I
very
know.
little reason to respect him
I
because
know.
he's shown me none ever.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm just going to tell you guys in the chat the truth is Chicago pulled a lot of this garbage on me in 2001 and 2002. But when MKDA came out, Chicago's main problem is I used my platform to say blah, 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 blah. But Chicago doesn't realize he never thought I would ever have a platform.
No. Well,
That's the
again,
problem.
nobody did. Nobody really thought that things were going to take off. And again, they didn't take off for another 10 years between 2001 and
And
2011.
when I did, I didn't come from when I had a platform
No,
and I could have buried him.
no,
I
because he
didn't.
wasn't part of it. He wasn't, and he knows
My
that.
point is, I could have said, you know what? I'm going to hold a grudge on this
Bring this
guy.
guy back. Yeah. No.
I could have said, you know what? Now that I'm the king and I have the power, I'm going to come after this guy and bury him. No, I didn't do that. I left it alone. But now that I'm streaming Legacy Kollection again, all of a sudden, old, you guys are cheaters, are rearing his ugly head, saying XYZ.
Yeah,
And my
and
whole
I mean
point is,
we know that this stuff goes on, but like I don't know. Like
and this is just dumb. I have offered to do a sit down with Chicago and have a conversation. But the problem is, Chicago's problem is he wants me known as a scrub. That's the problem. And this is where your disconnect is with Chicago. Because when you talk, he talks about me like a scrub. And you try to say to him, Chicago, but what about this body of work? And he doesn't want to hear it. Is
I,
that not accurate?
everything that we've talked about tonight, I've talked about with him. Everything. So
And
he
when you talk
knows
about the
he knows
body of work, he
exactly what I'm
shuts
going to
down.
say.
Right? He shuts it down. I don't care.
Hmm.
Okay.
No, he doesn't want to
Chicago, I
hear
would
it.
love for him to
It's
talk to me and settle this, but
I
he
would
never
love
will.
to have that.
He never will. And I'm here to say,
I'm
I'm here to
gonna
say,
I'm gonna offer him to come on by himself, and then maybe after that, if you guys can, come to an agreement, we can do something else. And again, the only reason that I'm involved is because I know both of you. I was there when all of this went down. And it was a long time ago, and it's just a personal thing. This has no like bearing on anything in the community today. It's completely detached from it. It's a settlement I would like to see between two people I know. And
well, I can personally say
yeah.
this. After tonight, especially the stream I just came from before this, um, I was streaming Legacy Kollection every day. I was putting YouTube videos, took all the YouTube videos down. I'm not going to take a year and a half break from streaming like last time. I'm going to take a permanent break.
Come on.
And you guys can have, and I'll just leave. And I will give the community what they want. You can have your hero,
I don't think anybody
Lex,
thinks that's true.
and I will leave. So I'm done.
Why do you delete the videos or you just make them private? What do you?
No, I actually removed them all this time.
Why? There's no point to that. There's no point to that.
I'm done. I'm just going to go back into whatever I was doing.
I think you should just come back.
I came back just because I'm tired of dealing with this community.
Where do you live right now?
Shock or false? Shock. You know this. For my entire MK life, I've been dealing with rumors of me being lying about X supposedly, or making stuff up, not being top, being a scrub. True or false?
Yeah,
I've been dealing with this the whole time.
But you also have.
And now that
you haven't done yourself any favors over the years either, though. You know that you've come a long way in certain things, and then you've taken drastic steps back. I think the big breaks and everything are definitely something people
over the last 7 years, I've had like a Michael Vick transformation in the community.
Did. Well, yeah, you screwed up. You screwed up big time.
But they
more
leave
of a Mike
that part
Tyson.
out.
More of a Mike Tyson.
But they leave that part out. Yeah, I would love for them to talk about the $50,000 I've given back to the community to help people out. But
I don't know.
They leave that part. Yeah, Mike Hollow's gone over it. He has the receipts. He's gone over it. No, you don't know about it. Mike Hollow knows about it.
So,
my point is,
this is from a person who knows you. I don't know about this redemption part, and I'm still giving you.
You know why? Because the community doesn't want to talk about it. That's why.
Okay.
That's the only reason why. In any event, thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming.
I'm beyond done. You will never see me play another game of Mortal Kombat again. I thought I was going to come back for Legacy Kollection and do a bunch of videos, and I was streaming every day again. but the chat has chosen Chicago, and you can't have us both,
Come
unfortunately, because
on, they did not.
this guy's calling me out as a
Why don't
liar,
Why don't you be
and
serious?
this guy is calling me out as a liar, and I'm tired of being sucked into community drama. I just want to play and have fun. And since every time I come back, even 2 years later, you guys bring me into this garbage. And who's lying? Is Tom lying? He was never good back then. You.
Well,
I'm done.
Bill,
You.
in
I'm
contrast,
done.
in contrast to that, I would like to see you come back.
Well, not going to happen.
All right.
Thanks for having me on, Shock. I know you got to get to
Thank
your
you.
aunts.
Yeah.
But,
All
all
right.
right. Thanks. Later, guys.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Oh boy. All right, guys. That is, as they say, that I will talk to Chicago. I highly, highly doubt that we're gonna get him on. Um, I would like to have his perspective, especially from what I think you can consider like MK Tom Brady being like a nuisance to him back in the day, because it's like this was his scene, and then this guy comes along that they say they don't know, and then goes on to be really like the standout MK player of an entire decade, if not two. He's still in the conversation. Um, I would like to get some kind of perspective, but uh, I wouldn't hold your breaths on it. If I do, we'll be on here, we'll be talking, and we'll get everything out. And then if we can have a sit down with both of them, I think that would be the most productive way, because doing it from the chat and then leaving, I told them this, I told Chicago this, it doesn't look good. So if it's that important that a 20-year beef is still lingering, then then make a real effort for it. So that's pretty much it. That's the only reason that I'm inserting myself into this, um, because I've made amends with both of these players over the years, and I know that their rivalry is just mostly unfounded. It's unnecessary. They never really. It'd be one thing if they came up in the same the same scene, the same region, and played each other on a regular basis. But then the issue is that with Tom Brady being a virtual unknown as of the release of MKDA, it's contradictory to them having such an issue with him. So, is it all from that one article? Well, I don't think so, because that happened after Deadly Alliance was released. Um, but yeah, Nick, yeah, we had Brady like on the rails until the very end there, but I knew that he was gonna go out with a bang. But we'll see what happens from here. So in any event, that's gonna be it for the night. I gotta go dog sit. So thank you everyone who's come in here from Brady Stream. Everybody who followed us, we stream like monthly MK1 tournaments. If you guys are interested in that, and we do retro stuff, we do classic MK here and there. I usually try to do stuff on other people's streams too. So we have content. You can go to our YouTube. You can see there's thousands of videos, thousands and thousands of hours of content on there. So there is something to be had here. This isn't just me popping on, for no reason. But Headlock Gaming, brother, we'll talk. We gotta get you. We gotta get that MK4 SCART set up for you or something to that effect. Let me know how far along you've come with that. We haven't talked in a couple weeks. So yeah, and a part of this too is for me to kind of get it out there. That I received a lot of resistance, because I came out just swinging with combo videos back in 2003. We had like a couple that we did before that, like in 2000, 2001. They were just little kind of tidbits, but we started releasing these big combo videos, and there were a handful of people who just resented the fact that like we were showing things that maybe they never discovered, and you just didn't really have that opportunity not in the arcades. I mean, you'd have to put money in and practice against the second player with nobody there, or maybe have a friend controlling or something like that. But all that factors into this. But I did receive a lot of the same treatment, and legitimately was an unknown. I fully admit that nobody knew who I was. I was just a 14-year-old kid playing UMK3 in 1995. So anyway, happy 30 years for UMK3, and we'll see where this goes. As for that question, more fun, UMK3 more fun than Trilogy? I don't know if it's more fun, but it's probably just a tighter game due to the broken, untested characters that they added to it. If they were all like, if the game was polished, yeah, there'd be no doubt that it would be Trilogy. But that's about it. So, all right, guys.